Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, A Magical Life with Aylah. Hello, I'm Aylah, and today, in our continuing discussion about raising our vibration, we're going to be talking about self-narrative. Well, any kind of narrative, actually. So, let's get started. So, as we continue on in our journey of strengthening and raising our vibration so that we can have solid, powerful magic, one of the things that we have to talk about is narrative, specifically self-narrative. So in a previous video, I devoted an entire video to the idea of self-love. And you've heard me say, oh, the most important spiritual practice is meditation and prayer. The most important spiritual lubricant in our magic is love, gratitude, and joy. Okay, those things are true. But if somebody told me that I had to pick one thing that would raise my vibration the fastest and the highest and would encompass all of those other things, I would have to go with self-love. In the video for self-love, we talked about how difficult it is and how we struggle with this. And I don't ever want to discount that. Self-love needs to be a practice. It needs to be something that we start off with. Maybe we start off and we know about ourselves that we don't like ourselves very much. We don't like ourselves sometimes, and sometimes we don't love ourselves at all. That's a place to start. It's a place to start. Coming into that knowledge that your self-love practice is very weak, that you don't have a lot of self-love for yourself. That's a good place to start. From there, remember in the last video, the emotional guidance scale? From there, you can do kind of the same thing with the emotional guidance scale. So with the emotional guidance scale, we wanted to practice moving up. If you were at the very bottom with hatefulness and all of those really intense emotions, can you go one up from there? Can you go one up from there? Can you practice going one up from there? Same thing with self-love. If we are in a place of self-loathing, then we have that knowledge. We know that that's where we're at. So maybe in the beginning of your practice of self-love, don't even think about self-love. Think about not hating yourself. That's a tiny bit better than self-loathing. Try to have some days where you don't feel anything at all for yourself, where everything is just calm. If you can get into that calm space, then you can go up from there, okay? So I will never ask you, at least I don't think I ever will. I can't imagine why I would ever ask you to go from the very bottom of the list, like an emotional guidance scale or a self-love ladder. I will never ask you to start at the bottom and jump clear to the top. It's important to your magic. It is vibrationally vital to your magic that you practice the emotional guidance scale, that you practice self-love until you slowly get up in those top areas. Okay. Um, this is just really important. So, what does that have to do with narrative? Well, our self-narrative is how we talk to ourselves. Remember that magic happens because of what you think, what you say, and what you do. Now, I probably won't talk a whole lot about what you think about yourself because I'm thinking that you're going to have to activate your thought process to get to the saying part, to get to the doing part. So what this video is really about is the saying part. What we say about ourselves. It's, we're going to talk a little bit about what we believe, what we say, what we do. I have heard from time to time, I have heard people say, oh my gosh, I'm just so stupid. And it literally makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. That's a self-narrative. That's a self-talk. I do things sometimes. We all do things sometimes, and then we turn around and we look at it and we go, what was I thinking? That's a little bit more compassionate way to look at it instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. What was I thinking? And there's lots of times where I'll go back and read something I've written, or somebody will say, well, you said this to me. And it's like, oh, okay, hold on. Why did I say that? Or why did I write that? What was my thought process around those words or that conversation? What was my thought process? So there's lots of other ways to self-talk besides this demeaning, disrespectful thing that so many of us do because we don't love ourselves yet. And there again, it's a practice, so you can start off easing it up a little bit. I remember those feelings in my illness. I remember those feelings of thinking that I was stupid, thinking that, well, don't ask me because I don't know anything. And changing when I finally made the transition from, there's things I don't know. It's not because I'm stupid. It's because there's things I really don't know. But here's what I found out about myself as I began to love myself. If I don't know something, I know how to go find out. And that's a fun adventure, when you're trying to find something out for yourself or for someone else, and you go to the library, or you go to talk to other people who may know. There's many ways around this practice of self-narrative. We have a tendency to put ourselves below other people. We have a tendency to not believe in ourselves, and all of that contributes to self-narrative, to negative self-talk. Let me tell you, negative self-talk is like so many things we've covered in the past couple of months. Knock your magic in the mud. In order for you to have powerful magic, now listen to me. In order for you to have powerful magic, and you want the fullest potential of your magic, you need to love yourself. You need to have good self-talk. When I hear people say, oh, have faith in yourself, don't have faith in yourself. That's a step along the way. You can have faith in yourself right now. But where we're going is not faith and hope. Where we are going is knowledge. Do you know yourself? Do you have knowledge of your inner being? This is the power of your magic. So there are things that we can practice. I'll give you a practice or two at the end of this video, but just I can't drive it home enough the way we talk to ourselves, the way we think about ourselves, the way we treat ourselves. That's the action part of the equation. How do you treat yourself? Do you take time for self-care? And, I've said in the past that self-care can be just about anything. But seriously, I mean, what do you need on a regular basis? I need to nap on a regular basis. If I get a nap in every day, that's really good self-care for me. I need to eat healthy food because I don't feel good if I don't eat the right foods. That is self-care for me. I need to take regular showers. I have always been good about showering, but here lately I have a time issue, and so I have to set aside and schedule times for showers. So that's the doing part of the equation. And then the thought part of the equation is, what do you think about yourself? What are the internal scripts that are running in your mind all the time? I got my scripts from childhood. It's okay if you're here in this household, as long as you do not inconvenience us, the adults. How many of you had to overcome that script that every time you ask somebody for help, or every time you wanted to ask a question of another person, that you felt like you were inconveniencing them? Yeah, you got to get over that. You got to get over that. And that's a practice. I finally started realizing that when I ask another person, when I interrupt them, okay, so what? I have a right to be on this planet as well. I got a question. I need you to ask you my question. If they can't answer my question right then, they can get back to me later. That's fine. Some parts of this self-narrative and self-love is really about willful, deliberate intention. It's about willful, deliberate decision-making. Just making up your mind, you're on this planet, you have as much right to be here as anybody else. So if you inconvenience another person, okay, well, excuse me, thank you for your help, and we move on. Okay? What other scripts are running in your head all the time, in your thought process? I remember being told that I was just like another family member. Oh, you're just like this other person. And I remember as a little kid thinking, is that good or bad? I learned later that my mom, who said this to me, didn't like this other person. So this was an insult. And so I've always had that feeling in my head growing up, in my mind, well, I don't want to be like this person, or I don't want to be like this person. Never mind figuring out who Aylah is. Just make sure you're not like this, or make sure you're not like that. So that's another way that we get tangled up with the negative self-talk. Let's see, what else? So lots of times inside of our own mind, even without the influence of family members and whatnot, we look around in our society, and we're told, you have to wear this brand. You have to wear these clothes that have this brand. You have to wear your makeup a certain way. Women have to wear their makeup a certain way. You have to subscribe to this way of thinking or that way of thinking. And there again, we can get into some dangerous waters there, because what if what everybody else is doing is not what I want to do? You have the right to decide who you are. You have the right to decide that You can bother another person if you need to. Bother. So many times we're asked for help or we're interrupted, and it's no bother whatsoever. But we think we're bothering that person, don't we? I think the media really plays a big role in our self-talk, with the whole fashion thing, and you got to be listening to this kind of music, or you got to be dressing a certain way, you got to wear your hair a certain way. And there again, we don't get to decide who we truly are. And knowing who you are and just loving that person with all of your heart is what shoots your magic through the roof. Okay? If me and every other light worker on this planet is right about the divine self, or another way to say it is the sacred self, or another way to say it is the godding process. The godding process that we talked about in a previous video, where you come into the knowledge that you are made, body, mind, and spirit, of divine source energy, making you divine source energy. If I'm correct about this, and all the other light workers on the planet that are moving this idea along, then we really got to come into some understanding, and we've got to really attach to this idea that I'm not just some lowly little pissant who's allowed to be on this planet as long as I don't make any noise, as long as I don't disturb anybody. No, you are huge. You are monumental. You are magnificent. I love that word, magnificent, especially when we're talking about each other. You are magnificent because you are an aspect of the divine. How can you hate yourself? How can you not have positive self-talk? Stop and think for a minute. Let this be one of your practices. Okay, stop and think for a minute. If I'm right about this, let's just say I'm right about this crazy idea that we're all made out of God goo. How do you feel about God when you think about just God, absence of religion, absence of other people's ideas and opinions about what God is? Think for a minute. How do you feel about God? Does it give you a warm, squishy feeling that there is something greater than us? Some divine intelligence, some source energy that's constantly creating this world? That's you. That is you. Okay? You create your own world. We are in cohort. We are in co-conspiracy with the divine energy of the universe, because we are divine energy. We are in cahoots with God, with the universe, with spirit, every single day, co-creating this magnificent world that we live in. You are magnificent. You belong here, practicing your magic, practicing your self-love, practicing your divine self. Okay? Listen to this video several times and try to absorb some of the words that I'm saying. I'm right about this. I know I am. And you know why I think I'm right about this? It's because there are millions of people worldwide who are echoing the same message. So what I would like you to feel when you walk away from this video today is I would like you to feel like, okay, this is going to be something I'm going to start practicing. Okay, it doesn't feel good if you try to go from a vibration here to a vibration here in a day, in a week, in a month. Okay, if your self-loathing is bad enough, and if your self-talk is negative enough, you're going to have to practice. And it takes time. I mean, we all want this instantaneous thing to happen with and I do believe in that place of instant magic. I do believe in that place where you wiggle your nose or you pull your ear and magic happens. I believe in that place. But I believe that it takes us a lot of practice to get there, because we have to overcome our negative thoughts, we have to overcome our negative self-talk, and we have to overcome our negative actions. I had a neighbor kill herself between our houses. We had some flower beds between our houses, and she laid down in the flower bed and killed herself. And I remember being left with this feeling like, that has to be, if I'm correct, that we are an aspect of God, that we are made out of that energy, that has to be the most damaging thing that we can do to ourselves and our relationship with the divine. I understood what she was going through, and we had talked a lot about what she was feeling, and I tried to talk her out of it, and at the same time, I knew exactly what she was feeling. I could feel it. I could feel the vibrations of her words. I have never felt that way. I've never wanted to kill myself, but her energy was so powerful, and she wasn't well, and she was suffering, and I got that. And on the other hand, I was like, come and let us heal you. Come and let us help you learn how to be well again. She told me what had separated her from her divine self, how she had gotten separated from that idea, and she had become ill. And she told me she knew all of it. She knew all of it. And I kept trying to encourage her that I know the way back to that place. I can take you there. But I think at that point she was just tired. I think she was exhausted. I think she was beyond exhausted. And she was ready to go back to the other side. I've encountered in my lifetime, lots of people who were just ready to go back to the other side. And it's hard for me because the tools are there to help them get out of that place. It becomes a matter of the vibration of our thoughts, the vibrations of your words, your powerful, crazy, insane, powerful words, and the vibration of your actions. And some people do not want to leave that place where they're at. And free will being what it is, when it happened, I went into shock, because this type of thing really shocks me. But I understood. I couldn't talk her into coming with me, but I understood. So if you are in that place, please hear my words. Please sit down and disengage for a moment and hear my words that there's a better place. There's a better place, and that place has a lot to do with what we believe about ourselves. Now, belief happens before we know anything. If we're in a state of belief about who we are, then we don't know ourselves yet. So let's begin today to change those beliefs. The next time you have a negative thought, think to yourself, where do I go from here? If you are involved in self-loathing, where's the next look around inside of your life. Where is the next little incremental place that you can come up from that place, that starting place? Maybe you're up here already. Maybe you're kind of lukewarm about how you feel about yourself. Where can you go from here? up a little bit. Now, if you are magical and you have magical friends, tell them what you're feeling. Tell them what you're going for. Now, your friends are going to be like, oh, that's ridiculous. You're amazing. I love you. You know, I always talk to you about this or about that. Seriously, help them understand that you are struggling and how to have a conversation with you when you need to have a conversation. I'm on Facebook, Aylah Hallel, AYLAHHALLEL, and Rowan Tree Pagan Ministries has its own Facebook page, and I think the link is below. I'll put it there. Anyway, you can find me and you can ask me a question. Here's what I feel about this. Where do I go from there? Okay. I would love to help you figure out where to go from there. That is a good practice. I use the word disengage a lot because when we're in a state of disengaging, we're not thinking forward and we're not thinking behind. We're not thinking to the left and we're not thinking to the right, okay? We are just there. In a place of disengagement, you have no resistance to your own being for that moment. Disengagement usually doesn't last very long, especially if you have children and you have a life that you need to attend to. So you can disengage. Meditation suspends any self-loathing. Okay. And even if you can't raise your vibration in your meditation at the moment because you've got all this other static going on, if you keep meditating 15, 20 minutes a day, if you keep meditating, eventually some of this static, that's what I'm calling self-loathing right now, some of this static will begin to dissolve for you, will begin to disappear. Okay. Start a practice. Here's another little practice that you can do. Start a practice where you set a timer and figure out how long you can do this. Where you sit for several minutes every day and think about the things that you like about yourself. I know it's hard. This is going to be really hard. You may only be able to do it for like a minute a day, but think about something that you like about yourself. And if you can stay a little longer, think why you like that about yourself. Where did you learn how to do that thing? Or where did you develop that thing that you like and appreciate about yourself? Okay, now what this will do, because I've noticed this with magical things, you will keep practicing it, keep practicing until all of a sudden you're stuck. I use that word, stuck, in a really good place about yourself. And this is not about, having confidence. I think of people who get up every morning and they get ready for work and they straighten their clothes down. They have confidence. Confidence is kind of like somebody being charming. Sometimes it can be fake. This is the real work. This is getting in there and identifying what you like about yourself. Okay? And if you can identify things that you love about yourself, that's good. That's even better. That's good too. I say like because I know that many of you are not going to start in that place of, oh, I like this, I love this about me, or I love this about me. You're going to start in that place of like. You're going to start, some of you may start in that place just below like, I don't necessarily hate myself. I can do this or I can do that. That's a good place to start. And then if you can start in that place of like, what do you like about yourself? Are you a good parent? Are you a good employee? Are you a good friend? Maybe you keep a really nice house. Maybe you know how to write really well. Maybe you know how to communicate really well. It could be anything physical, emotional, spiritual, anything that you like about yourself. And like I said, set a timer. Try to do this as long as you can. I'm imagining that some of you will only be able to do this a minute or two a day. But if you could grow in that, if you could grow in that self-love. Now, here's another practice. This just popped into my head. So many people believe what other people tell them about themselves. Don't do that. Make it one of your practices that when somebody thinks they have an opinion about you, laugh, because it's laughable. When another person gives you an opinion about you, that is really an opinion about them. Did you know that? Did you know that we judge people based on how we feel about ourselves? And what do you think if you don't judge people at all? What do you think that you feel about yourself if you don't judge people at all? I'm a very accepting person. I love people just the way they are. You know, I don't need to change anybody. I don't need to be giving any unsolicited opinions about anything concerning another person. I will be about the business of Aylah, and everybody else can take care of themselves. Okay? So that's very powerful. I mean, I see this on Facebook so much, where people just struggle. Their whole vibration is just blowed out of context. It's blowed into chaos because of something someone else said. If you are having a relationship with somebody who is, and I mean any kind of relationship, with somebody who is constantly criticizing you, constantly registering their opinion about what they think you are or who they think you are, try to minimize that relationship. Try to eliminate that relationship from your life altogether if you can. But if it's one of these relationships that you're basically stuck with, because in life we have those relationships, try to minimize that relationship. And when you go into a visit with this person, when you go into being in the same environment with this person, put a shield up. Put a shield up so that not so much of that is coming directly to you. This is really damaging. When other people are constantly telling you stuff about you, and if you don't know that that is really about them, you're going to do what? You're going to take it in. You're going to take it in, and it's going to bother you. And you're going to wonder, is there any truth to this? Do I need to be concerned about this? The only thing you need to be concerned about is what Spirit tells you to be concerned about. Remember the shadow work that we talked about video before last? That is a point of your evolution. Your shadow work is a point of your evolution. That is between you and the divine. That is not between you and anybody else. Do not ask other people what they think about you. What another person thinks about you is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. Your spirit will tell you what you need to look at. It will shine a bright light on those things that you want to change, that you want to transform. We don't really want to get rid of any part of our personality or our character. We just want to transform that. If you're a stubborn person and you're just always knocking your head against the wall, You don't want to get rid of that. That is a beautiful aspect of you. What you want to do is transform the part of it that's getting you into trouble. Okay? Being tenacious, being stubborn, being able to really stick with an idea or something that you're working on, a project, being able to persuade people in their way of thinking. This is powerful. You don't want to influence anybody, but you want to persuade them in the way that we can consider other possibilities. It's important sometimes to consider other possibilities. So the only opinion about you that matters is yours. Nobody else matters. Not your parents, not your siblings, not your best friend. The only opinion about you that matters is yours. Okay? So practice just kind of shielding when you have to be in an environment with somebody who is critical of you. And one thing that might be helpful is write down what this person has to say. Maybe not right at the moment you're having the conversation, but write down what they have to say. And allow yourself to consider that possibility. Is there any truth to this? Is this something that with your the light of your divine self, do you need to look at this? If the first words in your thought is, I don't think so. I don't think this is about me. I had a friend once who would say, you're like this. No, I'm not. And I knew that about me. I knew that I was not like that. This person wanted me to be that way so he could treat me accordingly. And lots of times people have ulterior motives for what they want you to believe about yourself. If you are very much in touch with your divine self and you have that genuine self developed, this is uncomfortable for people who haven't been there, who haven't developed that in themselves yet. They want you to have self-esteem issues. They want you to not think so highly of yourself. But here's the thing. You've heard that saying, birds of a feather flock together. That's a vibrational saying. They're talking about vibration. If you have the self-confidence of having gone through your self-love, gone through raising the vibration of your thoughts and your words and your deeds to yourself, if you have gone through, started that process, because you're never going to finish the process of shadow work, but if you've started that process, your vibration is going to change. It's going to change. And there's going to be those that were in your life to start off with that are not in the same place. And they're going to be uncomfortable with where they're at in conjunction to where you're at. If you can eliminate those friendships or those relationships, do so. If you cannot eliminate those relationships, understand that people have ulterior motives for what they want you to believe about yourself. So that can be a practice. When you're hearing horse shit, somebody's telling you something about you, well, you're like this, and you know that's not true. You can practice rejecting it, rejecting that opinion of yourself, rejecting those ideas about who you're supposed to be. So I think that's probably all I have to say for today. The practices were kind of interwoven with the narrative, so you'll have to go back through and listen. I'll put them in the description below for you. That'll help. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that this is probably the top practice. Your self-talk based on what you know about yourself, not what you believe, but what you know. What you know about you is more important than anything else. That you are worthy of your own love, that you are worthy of your own care. You are an aspect of the divine. And even if you can never wrap your head around the whole self, the divine self, you are still worthy of all of these things. Whether you have any spiritual beliefs or not, you are a human being who is worthy of respect. That's the end of the story. But the first respect has got to come from you. And when you start to really love yourself, when you start to get up there in those higher vibrations and you really start to love yourself, you're going to start to notice that you make new friendships. You make new relationships. And these people who are coming in this high vibrational self-awareness that you have are like you. They love themselves. And because they love themselves, it's very easy for them to love you. Because you love yourself, it's very easy for you to love them. You can't make people agree with you. You can't make them see what you see. So as you move through raising your vibration through your self-love and your self-talk and your self-thought and your self-deeds, the other people, the low vibrational people, are going to step away for a little while. And that's usually what happens. Sometimes they step away and they grow because we're all on the same evolutionary spectrum. We're all here trying to grow. Some people develop their ideas, their negative ideas about themselves and other people early in their life, and they never change. They carry that through their whole lifetime, infecting as many people as they possibly can. Please listen to this video and please consider my my thoughts here, because you want the fullest potential of your magic. That's all we are aiming for in these videos on this channel, is to understand what really affects your vibration and what really can raise your vibration and lower your vibration. And your self-talk is really important. So start listening to the words that come out of your mouth. You know, do you say things like, "Oh, I'm so silly," or "I'm so stupid"? Try to catch yourself when those words want to come out of your mouth, and try to switch it up a little bit. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that down, when I had that conversation with that person, when I did that thing. I don't know what there must have been something in my thought process that thought that was a good idea, and now I can't remember what it is. Because really, when you stop and think about it, I mean, is there such a thing as stupid? Are you inconsiderate? Do you catch yourself saying, "Oh, well, I didn't care about that person, or I didn't care about that situation"? Think about that. Think about those words. Think about what happened in that situation. What do you need to do next time? And there's always going to be a next time, so you're going to get plenty of practice. I've said this before, that the universe is this wonderfully patient teacher, and you'll get to go back as many times as you need to go back to understand that concept. So that's it. That's all I have to say. And Please like and subscribe to my channel, and put your comments in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. So have a beautiful day. Blessed be.